Ryan Thompson,
Here.
Bob Don. I see him. He's here. And Susan.
Here.
Present.
So with that, I think we can actually move right into our agenda. I have to admit to being a little confused under the new system. So I received applications for class 4 and class 1. And I believe that everybody received the same group. Is that correct, Jane?
That is correct.
That is correct. So
Yes.
what we're doing now is we're all together reviewing the applications that may or may not be consistent with our policies and our regulations. So we've all got, a quick review. All right. So having said that, let's move, since everybody can vote, and we'll ask Susan and Bob to stay for that moment, just so we can have the vote. Let's start with the class 1 credit part 1 exams, applicants rather. They were Bush, Caterino, Hauk, Hillman, Lee, McRae, and Soderholm. And what we saw is that I had just one question on whether or not Angelica had the FE, but Barbara sent that on and showed me that it was. The application either got folded over or somehow item number 12 or 13 was omitted. But anyway, everyone has had the EIT, all graduate from college programs. And I only had one question on Soderholm, that he has a master's.
Where are we in the? I'm lost.
Okay.
Where are we? We're not
I'm sorry,
going-
John. We're going to take the class 1's credit part 1 as the first group
Page
On
5.
page 5.
that we all reviewed.
Class 1 credit part 1. Okay. Yep, I've
I'm
reviewed
just
them.
jumping in there first to get the applications under the new process. Then we'll go back and go through the other items, for the record. But I looked at all of them myself, and the only one I had a remaining question on was Soderholm, which was interesting on the application. He had what I think it was, I had WPI, I think it was RPI, excuse me, right? And he had a master's, but I didn't see any evidence that there was a bachelor's, whether
Right,
it matters.
I have the same problem. He doesn't even identify what his bachelor's is in or when he got it. And he also has one of the endorsers he didn't put down the license number for. And I know she's licensed. I know one of the endorsers, and the one he didn't put the license number down is definitely licensed. But the problem is he doesn't identify his degree. I say send it back.
Right. Unless it was somewhere else in the package, which I didn't see.
I couldn't find it.
Right. So,
So do you want a motion?
yes, sir.
I move that the application be returned to the applicant to fill in the missing information, the undergraduate degree, both what it is in and the date, and to have the license number of the third PE.
Sir, second to that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Al. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. If this is a case where, we review it and we say, well, maybe he had the physics degree or the biology degree. And
That's right.
concentrated, and then concentrated in environmental sciences or something. Yet his expertise is in civil and structural. So, all right. Are there any other comments on any of the other applicants? Bush, Caterino, Hauk, Hillman, Lee, and McRae for class 1 credit part 1. And if not, is there a motion to approve? For the,
So moved.
was that John?
Yes, I'll move Bush through McRae.
Thank
Be
you. Is there a
approved.
second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Al. Any other discussion? Hearing none. That motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. So we did our job on that section. That we took a close look and found something. The next group of applicants that we reviewed were the Class 4 applicants. If anybody has any initial comments, otherwise I can offer two.
I've got quite a few notes on this group.
All
You're
right.
talking about Baki?
Yes, Baki,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay,
But we can go, let's just go right on down, individually, since this is what we're faced with right now. These were identified as something we should look at. So if we have comments, we should just take them one at a time to say yes or no that there's a concern, and then deal with the other ones as a group. So you had something on Baki, John?
yes, he has a non-accredited undergraduate degree from Pratt Institute. I assume it's okay because he has a master's at Columbia.
Yes.
And he apparently signed early on in his career, he signed a PE applicant that was slightly exaggerated, and he's been careful ever since, but I don't see any problem with him.
I had the same reaction. Excuse me. Good experience, 2 licenses. And I caught the same thing from Pratt. So is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, John. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve Baki for Class 4 reciprocity, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. On Bresner, I didn't have any evidence that there was an EIT somewhere in there. He had a degree from RPI and a BS in chemical engineering.
I
His
think I
license.
found, if I recall correctly, I think I found there was a standard form that listed both exams, but
Okay,
I'm not gonna, I'd have to check it again. Jane, did he have both exams?
when they have the old application, it doesn't have the same easy review, but I may have missed it. I just questioned myself as to whether or not there was an EIT.
He does.
Okay.
On the New York form, he has both.
Okay,
Yeah. So I'll move approval of Bresner.
second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve Bresner for reciprocity, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Then Mr. Dick was a model law, and he was expert in acoustics. I don't know why they caught him on our list, unless to clarify that acoustics is an exam and qualifying degree program.
At the University of Hartford, we had a couple last month. It's a Bachelor of Science in Acoustical Engineering and Music, University of Hartford, and the ones last month were certainly acceptable applicants.
So that's why I'm just curious as to why they put it over here. But I will say that acoustic engineers are hard to find. And if there is one, I'm going to take notes anyway. Is there a motion to approve then? He's a model law and in.
So move.
Thank you, John.
And I'll second it.
Thanks, Al. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, Dick, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing on that, motion carries.
I'm waiting for you to pronounce this one, Tony.
What's that? I mean, I know I had maybe we should have had Richard do it. Anyway, Zagib, don't know.
Bachelor, foreign bachelors with deficiencies in math, science, and humanities, but an MS from New Jersey Institute. I think he's fine. I'll
Yeah.
move approval.
Thank you, John. Second. Thanks, Bob Dunn. I'm gonna have you, Bob, I'm gonna put you down. You did it. Nice job. Thank you. Yeah, he had a foreign degree in Ghana and a master's from New Jersey Institute of Technology. He's a structural engineer with great experience. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve Mr. DZI GBA, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Then we have Mr. Heidenbrink, New Hampshire Technology degree, Vermont Tech in 07, 09, and then a master's from Norwich in 16, registered in Maine and New Hampshire, expert in structural. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, John.
I'll se-
Thanks, Al. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. The next applicant, Stephen Hentz, multiple licenses, self-employed since 05. He's a civil structural man, licensed in Ohio and New Jersey. And under our regulations, I guess you'd say you need 7 years with a technology degree, but he certainly has more than that. Once again, civil structural, good experience, self-employed. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, John.
Second.
Thanks, Bob. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. The next application is the one that we're going to discuss for a couple of minutes, I'm sure. And this is an individual with structural civil, his foreign degree from Mapua, a master's from De La Salle. He has a BS in a foreign degree, and his evaluation of the degrees was no deficiencies. The issue with Mr. Lintag is that under our policy, the best I can tell, he did not take the fundamentals, which put him over onto this category.
Are you talking about
Lintag, yes,
Yeah, that's up in the, it's earlier in our agenda.
yes. It was on for reconsideration. It ended up in the class 4, well, in my pile anyway.
You want to do it now?
We can leave it off for a moment, discuss the other ones and come back.
Okay.
All right, so the next applicant was Patrick Mansour. He has a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Alexandria. Great evaluation, no deficiencies at all. He's registered in Massachusetts. He's a mechanical engineer.
Move approval.
I'll second.
Thanks, Al. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve Patrick Mansour, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing on that, motion carries. And then Mr. Pichardo, he had evaluation of his degree of BS in civil engineering from the Dominican University. He's registered in New York. He has tremendous engineering design for the housing authority of the New York Housing Authority. And you read the descriptions, they're basically rebuilding every building in the housing authority, but he had absolutely no deficiencies in his evaluation. And in comparison, he had like 193 credits in the evaluation, which is pretty impressive number. Anyway, I would certainly recommend approval.
I'll move approval.
Thank you, John. Second. Thank you, Robert. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Athena, Spiridaki, BS in Civil from Greece, a master's in engineering mechanics from Columbia, a doctorate from Columbia in structural. The evaluation had her missing 10 credits in general education with 144 credits. Again, I certainly would recommend.
I move approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Al. All those in favor of the motion to approve Athena Spiridaki, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now we reviewed next, Patrick Sullivan. Patrick just recently graduated. He's 4 years and 4 months of experience from Rensselaer with a bachelor's in civil back in May of 20. He's registered in New Jersey. He's a structural engineer. I guess the question here was he just made the 4 years of experience, so it would meet our criteria.
Move approval.
I'll second.
Thanks, Al. All those in favor of the motion to approve Patrick Sullivan, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And Wenmin Wang is a BS and a master's from China and a doctorate in civil from Louisiana State. He's a structural engineer, licensed in New Jersey, California, and New York, with 127 credits in the program under his undergraduate, but a doctorate from Louisiana State. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, John. Second? Thanks, Bob. All those in favor of the motion to approve Wenmin Wang, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. The last one on that list was Elizabeth Xavier. Let's see. No U.S. degree. Yeah, she was all University of Madras, India. Didn't have any U.S. degree program. Licensed in West Virginia and Virginia. She's electrical, and she was missing 10 general education criteria, but 160 credits with multiple licenses other than just West Virginia and Virginia. So
I move approval.
thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thanks, Al. That was kind of unique in that no, U.S. degree masters or anything. So we hadn't seen that in a while, but well evaluated. And so all those in favor of the motion to approve Elizabeth Xavier for reciprocity, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Okay. So should move back to our regular agenda, just go through the correspondence, which was the letter that we had sent or asked to be sent at the request of a licensee who asked for it to be reinforced. So we resent a letter that we had originally prepared, and now I've forgotten the date. It wasn't dated here. But it's actually a new letter, just responding to what a surveyor versus an engineer or landscape architect is permitted to do. So it's restating some conditions of our regulations. And we thought at that time that it was important to send to the town clerks to distribute through their land use department to make everyone aware of the regulations as it relates to land surveying and engineering. So it went out. Jane has no idea, either do I, how or why the department was reluctant to release it. Nevertheless, it's been released. Okay, so the next applicant, and that next item on our agenda is the reconsideration of the request for approval of a Class 4 license submitted by Jeffrey Lintag. Jeffrey Lintag has a BS from Mapua. I don't really know exactly where that is. He has and a BS in environmental engineering from Mapua, and a master's in science and master's in civil engineering from De La Salle. He's a structural civil engineer. The evaluation of the degrees was proved that there were no deficiencies. The reason it's on our reconsideration list is that he was denied because he did not have the fundamental exam.
So why are we reconsidering it?
It's put back to us because the applicant submitted a letter requesting reconsideration. The department, under their current review, tagged it as being inconsistent with the model law and our policy. So they sent it back to us for reconsideration and affirmation, if that's the case, of our prior decision, which was to deny reciprocity due to inconsistency with our policy and the fact that he did not take both exams.
He's been a faculty member
In different places, yes.
for 16 years. He should be able to take both exams. There's no reason. I don't see why we need to reconsider. But if you want a motion,
Yes, sir.
I'll move to deny for lack of taking both exams.
He took the second exam, but not the first exam.
The first exam, he didn't take the first.
Right.
Do we need to take a vote or just we don't reconsider it? There's nothing changed.
No, I think we're being faced with a request to reconsider. He wrote a letter. He had tried to make some background for it, but it's inconsistent with our policy, and it's in being consistent and fair.
Okay, gotcha.
John made a motion to deny,
And I'll second it.
and Al seconds it. And the motion is to deny reciprocity due to the inconsistent with our policy and the fact that he did not take the fundamental exam. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
All those in favor of the motion to deny reinstatement or to deny reciprocity, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries to deny. It's consistent with our policy and consistent with our recent actions on other similar applications. Okay, moving through our agenda, on our regular agenda, we have a list of candidates who took and passed the computer-based testing exams between March and May. And they are listed on our agenda on page 3 and 4. They range from Adamu through Letterman on page 3 and McKenna through Wilson on page 4. A variety of, cross-section of disciplines, primarily civil, environmental, and mechanical. That's really just information, notice, and notification for us. We had asked to keep track of those applicants that are approved. The next list is D2 on our regular agenda. It's a list of newly licensed land surveyors, which is encouraging that there are now 6 more. 2 of them are located in Connecticut. One from Montgomery, Illinois, another from Ohio, another from Texas, and another from Narragansett. Interesting cross-section. But again, it's for record of those 6 individuals who are now licensed in Connecticut. The next list, D3, on page 4 and page 5 of our regular agenda, are those that have been newly licensed as under class 4 as reciprocity. I guess it would be a redundant column, Jane, but perhaps there should be a verification that they are all model law, because that's really what it would be looked at by the department. I don't know if that's a suggestion we should make.
So these have all been reviewed by Jane.
Not by Jane, but by the department.
Okay.
Right, Jane? It's staff in the Department of Consumer Protection.
Yes, that's correct.
So as it stands right now under our new regulations of the Department of Consumer Protection, those applicants, once again, Albritton through Hirschberger on page 4 and Hewitt through Wilson on page 5 have all been approved for Connecticut licenses under reciprocity and in accordance with the NCWS model law. But I do think it would be appropriate just to say, yes, those were all model law, and if there were any of those who for some reason were approved and were not model law, we should know that. You know, for example, if one of the individual applicants had a discipline in another state, and for that reason he didn't qualify as model law, but he was worthy of reciprocity because he paid the $500 fine because he missed his filing. You know, he missed his what do you call it? Renewal by 2 days. I think that should be known, right? And perhaps, I guess, if that were the case, then we should have seen it in the first place. So maybe it's redundant, but I think it'd be appropriate at least to, as they say, check the box by having a model law column in there.
I agree.
Okay, we could at least ask, Jane, you know.
Yeah, I can do that. I was assured that these are all model law.
Okay, and if they aren't, then they should be put in the other category, that's all. Which we assume is what happened today. All right, just a thought. So then we reviewed the applicants for Class 1 credit Part 1, so that's been done. And then we have some review by the land surveying team. Jakowiak and Zumo for Class 6 exam credit Part 1.
I recommend approval.
Thank
I
you, Ryan.
second.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Susan. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve Jakowiak and Zumo for Class 6 exam credit Part 1? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing on that, motion carried. We have another applicant, Gerald Lenz, for Class 8 exam.
I have a couple of comments on this.
Okay,
So he's got 4 or 5 different signature sheets that only amount to 3 different signatures. He's got 2 signature sheets with the same person but different signatures on them. And then the other issue that I noticed, and not that this is disqualifying, but he's actually got 30.5 years of experience, some pretty good experience. But he only shows that he has 17, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know what Susan and Bob think, but it just seems like it was kind of a sloppily done application. I don't know that that's worth denying because the experience does seem very good. But just, I think it's important to note that it's not accurate.
Right.
sometimes
He doesn't have
the
to-
applications can still be confusing, right? He shows you that he's been working for 30 years, and then he puts himself down as being whatever in every category. It only adds up to 17. Is that the case?
Yeah, well, basically it totals at 17. Yeah.
17 years, 6 months, but he's only got, as Ryan pointed out, 3 references, which is incorrect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, is it worth asking him for another endorser?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Two-
think he needs
two
to
endorsers.
clean up his references because they're a mess and it's confusing.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's a good motion. So a motion to return the application for compliance with the signature requirement and to review the years of experience.
yeah.
Is
All
that a
right,
sufficient
I'll make
motion?
that motion.
All right, thank you,
I'll
Ryan.
second.
Susan, thank you. All those in favor of the motion to table a decision pending a return of the application for compliance with the signatures.
Just real quick, it was Bob that seconded it. Just
Okay,
for the
sorry.
record. Yeah.
Thank you for correcting that. But the motion is to return it for compliance with the signature requirement and to clarify years of experience. Is that sufficient?
Yes.
If so, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thank you, Ryan, for a close look at the application. And then we have on our regular agenda, page 7, we have a list of those who are eligible for Class 9 license. I'm not going to go through that first name. I don't know if I could do it this moment, but Basneyaki Mudialas. I don't know. I did pretty good on the first part. But anyway, it goes from Kanchani as a first name, and Bowman, Fung, Gold, Lehman, McKeon, Mora, Morales, Calderon, Ordner, and Walker all are eligible for Class 9 license. All those, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, John. Second,
I'll second.
thank you, Bob. All those in favor of the motion to approve Class 9 license as shown on page 7 of our agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing on that, motion carries. We had one applicant for Colin Palethorpe for Class 13 license.
I believe he's a class 14 license by definition, which is a 2-year related degree from 3 Rivers.
Okay. 2-year related degree. We often have done that, transfer to a different class and then approve, if that's your motion.
That would be my motion to approve him as a class 14.
So the motion,
Second.
okay, thank you, Susan. Ryan. So it's a motion to transfer Colin Palethorpe to Class 14 and approve for Class 14 license. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. All right, and the last applicant for surveying is Jacob Lociavo for Class 14A license.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Bob Don. All those in favor of the motion to approve Jacob Lociavo for Class 14A license, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Our next meeting would be June 10th, according to our efficient listing by Jane. We have the minutes of our last meeting of April 22nd.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Who was
Second.
that, Al? Second. Somebody want to second the motion to approve the minutes from
Second.
April? Is that Susan or Al? Who was that, Bob?
Bob.
I'll take your share. I can see you now. All those in
Aye.
favor of the motion to approve the minutes from April 22nd as submitted, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing
I'm
none, that motion
abstaining.
carries. Susan was abstaining on that vote because she was not here.
I was trying to get in the entire ride to Boston.
You're not supposed to do that while you're driving.
I know, but it
I'm
was a
always amazed at
funeral.
how clear it is when you finally get it on the phone. It's really amazing, but it's a chore sometimes. I had to quickly move to another computer this morning because I couldn't get on in the conference room, and 3.5 minutes wasn't enough. We have one more item on our agenda, which was the complaint report that normally Janita submits, but there were 3 items on it. They were all related to land surveying. They were all filed and resolved. So there's nothing pending. One individual had 2 complaints, no evidence and no further action required. Another one was about there was no violation of the statutes and regulations. So they were all resolved. So 3 items resolved. So unless there's any question or discussion, we can close that item as information only.
I just have one question before we end.
Yes, sir.
The email from Paul, I don't think I ever saw that email. But Jane, I'm guessing that means all meetings moving forward, not just for this one because it's a smaller group, right? Regarding the voting on everything.
Yeah, so what I did is I can forward it to everybody, which I probably should have done. I just sent it to Tony because it was like last minute. But because I wasn't sure if we were going to have a quorum, so that's when he came back and said that everybody can vote on everything. So yeah, so I guess from here on here on in you guys can all vote on everything.
Yeah.
Because technically it would have been John, me, and Al on engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're dual licensed, technically it wasn't the right.
Well, I guess my question is why didn't that why when we went through this whole thing when I first joined the board didn't this, I mean, if the answer was this all along, then why didn't it come up 2 years ago? And does it invalidate anything that we did where people like the engineers didn't vote on stuff that was only voted on by surveyors or vice versa when there weren't enough people in the past?
Along those lines, Ryan, it's kind of interesting on another angle, since we're lacking public members, and during my meeting with the commissioner and John Messner, it was pointed out that we are lacking, and how does that affect us legally? And when you are going and looking for public members, what should be the qualifications? And it was somewhat interesting. Well, it was very interesting to me in that we want to have public members, but we don't want them to be expert or necessarily knowledgeable in either engineering or surveying. And I said, that doesn't make sense, and when we see, if you know something, say something. So somebody who has qualifications on either engineering or surveying. Remember, we had at one point we had John Halsey. John Halsey was an engineer, but he was also a lawyer. So he had a great insight to applications. So it's like an ideal individual. You are an engineer and a surveyor, so you have insight to both professions. That's an ideal member, And you couldn't be a public member, however. Because you're too smart, No, I didn't mean that. No, you couldn't be.
No, you said it's on the record.
Yeah. It's expertise. You have expertise in the field, but you can't offer it, In a way, it doesn't make sense to me. So, anyway.
I just was curious because I wouldn't want. I mean, it seems like it opens up a can of worms. But we can probably just let it go as is.
But it's a
Um,
question I think we should follow up on that, you know? Here we are in a bind today, and to keep things moving, and the commissioner is, intent upon making certain that the applicants have a fair shake and a prompt and efficient review. We made it work. So was that just an accommodation today? But you make a very good, you raised a very good question. So I suppose we could ask that quietly, Jane, does that apply going forward?
I believe this is moving forward entirely because that's how all the other boards act as well. So
What was that, Rachel?
this is how all the rest of the boards act as well. Like everyone can vote on all the topics.
Okay.
So I don't believe this is just an
Okay, good.
exception for today because you guys did have a quorum today. Not necessarily of each portion of licenses, but you did have a quorum of the whole board, so you had enough people to vote. So this is just moving forward is how it's going to work.
Okay. All right.
I would hope that if we had a circumstance where, let's say, only the land surveying members were in attendance, the land surveying members and what public members we may have, that we would use common sense in that we wouldn't vote on engineering issues when that occurred. We'd either table the stuff till the next meeting or, until such time that the full board was available to do it.
Right.
So
It's also, it may be appropriate to maintain those separations only because our regulations, our statutes define what a land surveyor can do and what an engineer can do. So, if you're a land surveyor wanting to do more engineering, by definition, you may be biased, Anyway, I guess there was a reason for making the board separate. I'm not so sure I know what it is anymore, but what Rachel's told us is that anybody on the board is entitled, able, and if willing to comment.
I'm going to agree with Bob because I don't want to vote on, if there aren't land surveyors present, I don't want to vote on their cases.
And we can maintain that as a policy on our board. If it creates a problem, we'll discuss it. We have the members to deal with it. We don't want to delay anybody unnecessarily, but if we're short 2 surveyors, then we don't really have the quorum. In this case, however, Bob, Don, myself, and Ryan do have the legal license to comment on the application. So we'll have to take every application, but I understand what Bob said, and I understand what John said. There's a reluctance if you don't have that information, then you don't go. Previously, I said if you have the information, then you should vote. If you don't have it, then abstain.
Yeah.
And in that case, John,
and really, my qualification was only in the circumstance where you don't have the expertise available at the
Correct.
meeting.
Understood.
If the expertise is there, I'm totally in favor of everybody being able to vote.
Right.
And in fact, I don't remember ever seeing anything in the enabling regulations or statutes that segregated out who could vote when. So I think technically we've always had this ability to vote this way.
Right. So our legal counsel has said we can vote, and we can also as individuals abstain or refrain from commenting if we don't feel we have the expertise to offer valuable input. And then it falls back on the quorum of each profession. Okay, that was a good discussion. Is there any more discussion?
All right.
If not, it's
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Al.
The only reason
I'll
why I
second.
show up.
Thank you, Ryan. And get that office cleaned up, will you?
Yeah. Well, like I said, this is my storage area.
I see Whoever did that taping job needs a little practice.
That was me.
All those in
It
favor of the
was
motion to-
temporary for a certain need, and I just threw it up hastily. So.
All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. So we'll see each other on June 10th.
Okay.
And we'll
Take
see
care.
how
June
the
10th.
we'll see how the newlyweds made out on their 50th.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
All right, guy. Thank you, John. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.